Mondays. I want to say thank you to our hosts at the Idea Foundry and the Franklinton Arts District George Bellows Fund, which actually helped support this event tonight, and to our volunteers that are helping tonight as well, and to all of you for coming out. So our panel tonight is the Orphan the Poet's Jake Floyd, their tour manager Jesse Barron, and hip-hop artist and moderator Joey Aich. So come on out, guys. Okay, they're going to share all of their wisdom on touring with us tonight. So with that, I'm going to pass the mic to Joey, and you can take it off.
What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? My name is Joey Aich. I'm an artist here in Columbus. I'm from Woodmere Village, and I'm going to just pass the mic down. Everybody introduce themselves, and we'll get started.
Awesome. Hey guys, I'm Jesse, tour manager for the Orphan the Poet. Yeah, that's me. And here's Jake. Sorry, Jake, I took the way.
Hi, I'm Jake from the Orphan the Poet, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
First, I just want to say to Jake, how'd you get into touring? Like, what was the moment where you were like, it's time to tour. I've been playing here in the city long enough. Now is my time to get out and perform. Was there a specific show, or was it just like someone reach out? So just.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this last night. I think the moment that I realized that we were wanted to try taking a step outside of playing in Ohio or Columbus or whatever was just noticing, especially on social media, having fans outside of Ohio, fans outside of Columbus, even if it's traveling to Cincinnati or Dayton or Cleveland, the idea of having anyone in a different city that you're going to. It doesn't have to be going to Los Angeles or New York or South America or whatever. You're just going somewhere else and playing a show, and hopefully there are people there that want to see you. And I think the steps to get into that were more making friends. That was one thing we were talking about last time. We were kind of going over all this is a big thing we're going to talk about. First of all, there are no rules. Everything is, everyone has their own path, but for our specific situation, it was making friends outside of Columbus, outside of Ohio, and then also having people there that wanted to see our band, and sometimes not wanted to see our band, and we just play a show there and make fans.
Jesse.
Sir.
I was back there, and you are definitely a tour manager. It's like, hey, 6:56. It's time. All right, you guys ready? Use the bathroom? How'd you get into tour managing? What led you to it? And also just kind of explain the role of what a tour manager does, because I don't have a tour manager at the moment, so I don't even know what that entails. So
Sure, man. Yeah. So I guess we'll go in reverse order, right? So what does a tour manager do? And again, that answer varies on a lot of, it can vary from a band to a band. It definitely varies from a level to a level, right? At a touring level, honestly, you could have a TM even if you are just playing local shows. If you can get one, it's awesome. What it is basically all of the crappy band management on a show-to-show basis. When you're in the venue, you're figuring out what needs to get done, right? All that stuff that's normally what you're taking care of is what I get to take care of, right? And that's kind of on the day-to-day, right? But from the high level of what TMing is, it is the facilitation, the organization. If you're in any kind of businessy sense, sometimes the project management of your project is the tour. How do you make sure that you facilitate a successful tour? How are you making sure that you are advancing with the venues? Things like that, right? On a day-to-day basis, when we're on tour together, I share a lot of the responsibilities with Jake on a lot of the tour setup, and there's a team now, but a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is really the facilitation of the good show, right? making sure everybody is taken care of, making sure everybody is thinking about the stuff that no one is thinking about, because everybody just wants to have fun. Everybody wants to be jazzed up. Everybody wants to play a good show, right? And we're all sitting back there having a good talk and having fun, and we got to go on soon, right? So just making sure that we're keeping that stuff contextualized and that we're heading in the right direction. So that's kind of high level what I am doing. How I got into it, it's pretty random, but important in what Jake was saying a little bit earlier, where I was friends. I was friends with David first from Orphan, and we had gone to their shows, hung out, we were buds. I got to know Jake a little bit, and I mean the true magic night of it all was my band opened for their band, and we were doing what I do, which is making sure that it was going well, making sure everything was taken care of. And I'm up there striking lights with Jake, and Jake's like, hey, Jesse, you're cool. You should come on tour with us. And I was like, okay, and then the rest was history, right? But I mean, that's the seminal moment of when it happened, right? But there's so much before that laid into that, right? And we were talking again last night about like a lot of the people we know in the industry that are doing stuff that is off the stage, off the non-performing activities in the industry. A lot of them just started out being buds with the band, right? Or being in that scene, right? So if you want to be tour managing, that would be my recommendation, right? Be in the scene, be in it, be available to have the schedule to be able to make that kind of stuff work.
I've been to Buffalo, I traveled up the coast. I left my hometown with a backpack full of dirty clothes. Load on the radio, thought of a girl I know. It's just a flashback to a love that I don't even know.
What are some obstacles about touring and also what are the ways that you get past the hurdles that a lot of people won't know? Even like we talked about like the harsh realities of tour, like everybody believes that it's gonna be like packed out every single time. Newsflash, it is not here, not anywhere, I promise you. But what are some obstacles and what are also some solutions to get past those hurdles?
Well, I think even band, tour manager, if there's a struggle happening when you're traveling or playing a show, everyone's dealing with it. It's not just someone that's working for you. It's not just the bass player, the guitar player, the singer, whatever. Everyone's, we're all trying to put on a good show. And I think the biggest thing we talked about when we were discussing challenges that you experience on tour are, it's not so much the challenge, but it's how you deal with the challenge. Be it, we've experienced our fair share of flat tires or a vehicle breaking down, or even so much as getting robbed and your stuff stolen. That happens. It's awful, but it's a thing that happens. And I think the biggest thing is the attitude going into it. We're lucky enough in our band and crew to have everyone's kind of on board on no one's sulking. It's immediate action. Everyone's being proactive on how can I help make this situation, because at the end of the day, you're trying to get to the next show. You're trying to put on a good show for the people that paid money to go there, and you're trying to have fun. And at the end of the day, I mean, if you're not having fun, it sucks. And even through the harsh times of having a flat tire, it's, hey, well, let's just figure out how to solve this instead of sulking. And I think that is the biggest attitude or the biggest thing that can change is your attitude in any sore situation. Be it, if there's 5 people that show up to a show, play your heart out to those 5 people like it's 5,000 people, like it's 500,000 people, because those people are paying money to get there to see your band or to just experience something for the night. And I think that attitude, not even shift, but just mindset is what makes every situation, be it a good situation or a bad situation, 10 times better.
Yeah, and I'd add on to that as well that even like a tour hardship, I mean, that happens every day. There's just logistical crap that's gonna happen when you walk into the venue. Something's gonna be weird every time, right? And it's not only the positive mindset of like, hey, whatever is gonna happen today, we're just gonna deal. It's it's that going with the flow mentality, but externalized. It's important that you are walking into that venue and you are, you have a sound guy, you've got a door person, you've got bar staff, you've got all kinds of folks that are in that venue, right? And you are a team, right? And having that positive attitude of, hey, well, that's crazy, well, whatever, okay, cool, we'll roll with it, right? And making sure that you're never gonna help yourself by not reacting positively to one of those situations, right? And that kind of making sure that it is clear to everyone that hey, we're cool for this. And if you have to go out in the van, you got to shout about some idiot that you're dealing with or whatever, that's fine, right? But keeping that positive mindset externalized, I think, is really, really important for everybody continuing to work together on a team.
How do you get booked? Or what is the process of getting booked? How is the process of booking a tour? Is it just go to step one of it and how do we get to executing the plan?
Yeah. Well, so our band, for example, before Jesse was ever involved with us, it was a lot of, like I said earlier, just making friends. I think that is where the online social media life is the best, because you can become friends with a band from Chicago, from Minneapolis, from Cincinnati, from Cleveland, wherever. And I think that is such an important part of the music community of, hey, that band in Cleveland wants to come play in Columbus and you want to play in Cleveland? Hey, how about we show swap? I'll play in your hometown, you play in my hometown. And I think that's the first step in to booking a tour is, who can you be friends with in other cities? Our band is lucky enough to have a booking agent now, but we still do a lot of the legwork of getting people out to the shows. We're making sure everyone that's ever heard of us in Des Moines, Iowa is coming to the show. It's not just, oh, the venue posted the flyer, of course everyone that's ever heard of us in Iowa is going to come to the show. It's a lot of promotion that I think people overlook, and we were talking about it earlier. The dream is that you post something once on Instagram and then everyone sees it and everyone knows that's the date I have to be at the show. But the reality is that they're going to scroll by it, they're going to click to the next thing, or they're going to see it and be like, oh yeah, fucking October, I shouldn't cuss, October 13th, that's the show, I'm going to remember that. And then 2 seconds later, there's a video of a cat that distracts them and they forget about it. But it's on you as the artist to make sure that people can't forget it. And that's not just necessarily always reposting the flyer, it's thinking creatively outside the box, making it seem like a big deal for everyone, and no matter what city you're playing in, whether it's Columbus, whether it's Des Moines, Iowa, whether it's Orlando, Florida. If you've never played in Orlando before, make it seem like the biggest deal in the world, and people will react to that.
And this is something we talk about a lot, being a good hang, honestly. As goofy as it sounds, right? Being a really good hang with these bands, right? You reach out to some band in Chattanooga or whatever, and you want to play a show, you set up a show swap, whatever, right? It is important to be a good hang in those situations, so everybody walks away feeling really positive about that situation. Both because you're going to set up future shows in Chattanooga, and ideally the goal is everybody is coming up together, right? We make it a point, even if we're not having a good day, to make sure that we are being that good hang. So
to add on to that too, I think we've talked about it so many times, but at the end of the day, you should be a good band. But the reality is that you should be friendly, and people are going to react more positively to being friendly and to being on time than, you could be the best band in the world, but if you're late and you're, not friendly, then I'm trying not to curse, sorry. If you're late and you're not being friendly, then people don't care. If you're making an effort to be liked by everyone around you and you're making an effort to be on time, doors are going to open.
always have a tour packet. We always have a schedule for every single day. And now it's easy to say, like, yeah, obviously you have that. But I think it is really, really important when you are starting, honestly, even getting in the habit when you're playing shows locally, but just committing to like the professionality of, hey, van call is at 10, and like we need to be, that means we are all in the van and we are going, right? And like it's very, very easy, especially in the early days, to be, oh man, like why is Jake the one freaking out about van call? Like it's fine, whatever, like, but like that commitment to professionality is critical, and that only pays dividends once it scales up, right? Having those habits in place, I would argue, is important right out of the gate, right? For actionably important, but really important to kind of commit to that professionality.
For us, in our crew, it's not, a tour packet sounds like a daunting thing of, oh, well, I'm not on tour, whatever. It's really just like everyone being on the same page of a schedule that day. And for us, we kind of say everything is going to take an hour. That's like our mantra of, if we have to stop to do anything, a half hour, it won't happen. We have to add, like if we're driving, if the drive is 3 hours to the next show, we should make sure it's 4 hours to leave on time. And then no doubtedly there are gas stops, pee stops, people want to get food or whatever, but we're always allowing an extra hour to do almost everything.
I think adding an hour for every 3 to 4 hours is critical. That's something we do all the time. Like literally, if it's an 8-hour drive, it's going to cost us probably 10 or 11 hours for sure. We are always looking to be as efficient as humanly possible, and which in a lot of ways is not what people normally do, but I think it actually pays a lot of dividends for us. That is an example. Another example, talking about P-stops and stops and stuff, the devil is in the fucking details on that. Of you will not, like, the game is won and lost at the gas stations, for real, right? If you need to go to the bathroom, if you can hold it and find a rest stop, that is a 2-minute stop, as opposed to a gas station that will take 10. And on a 8-hour drive, that is going to add up. You've already got an hour of bullshit there that you've lost, right? Before you've even accounted for the hour of bullshit of the 3 to 4 hours, right? Things like that, super, super important. I think going along with the efficiency, things like gear design is something that I think we take really, really seriously as well. It is awesome to have all the cool stuff. It's awesome to have the coolest lights and have the coolest stuff, but if you cannot set it up and tear it down quickly, and if it cannot fit into small boxes that you know where it goes in the van, you really need to consider that kind of stuff, right? We, again, make really good friends with the sound guy, not just because we treat them nicely and are kind, but because we can hand them a fantail that says, hey, here are very clearly labeled 8 inputs, and we already know exactly what we're going to tell you of how you're going to mix that when we do sound check. And they love it. They love it. There's no mystery in what's going to happen on a night in, night out basis, right? Gear design is really, really critical, and not just from handing it to the sound guy, making it easy, but what do the lines look like that you run on stage, right? Because you're going to have a really fast changeover. Again, being on time, being early, getting your stuff off as early as you can is only going to make you more friends. Making sure that your road cases are in ways that are efficiently put together makes a huge difference. We have the pack in the van for a tour, depending on what we're carrying, right? But it is agreed to ahead of time, and we know exactly where every single box needs to go in the back of the van, and it's goofy and it's fun, but like, it's nuts. We will know, like, whomever is throwing stuff in the van, the next person's like, oh, well, the bass is going in next, so I've just got the bass here ready to go, right? We can load in, load out in minutes, and it's really, really critical.
I think on top of that too, like when you talk about the Tetris of packing a van or the efficiency of knowing where all the lines go, it really comes down to routine. I think where we've been most beneficial in whether it's on a tour or whether it's playing locally here in Columbus, is having a routine, and everyone has their roles that they do. You know, Jesse's obviously tour managing, making sure we're on time and doing all that stuff, but even like me or David or anyone that's working for us or playing for us, it is, we roll into a venue, we're loading in, and everyone kind of has their specific things they do, where they're all loading in the gear, unloading, uncapping all of our road cases. I'm going over to set up the merch, and it is every day. I think we've benefited from having kind of the same thing. You know, you're in a new place, you're in a new city, but developing that, like, I do the same thing every day, really for us makes it seem more fun, which sounds like the nerdiest way to say it's more fun. But really what it comes down to is everyone's like secondhand doing the thing. And that allows us to just goof off more because we can have fun, make jokes while doing our role that we have. If I'm setting up merch and they're taking all the cables out and unpacking everything, we're all joking because we all know that everything is going to get done at the end of the day.
It is that like camaraderie and just our ability to joke and stuff, which is absolutely begotten by the fact that everybody is locked in on exactly what they need to do. All of our mind is freed up to just interpersonally improve our relationships, right? Because the inverse of that is, again, the game is won and lost in interpersonal relationships. It is very, very easy for when you're on the road for 30 days to just start kind of getting sick of the people that you're with, right? It's natural, it's gonna happen, right? And the things that are going to be the real cruxes is you didn't wash the dishes in the sink or whatever. It's those things of tour, right? Which is like the headaches of who's gonna set up merch, how are we running these lines, whatever, right? Those kinds of things can absolutely be those trigger points that are going to degrade the relationships, right? Other things that I would say from tour manager perspective, eat, take care of yourself. This is a fight I have every day with the guys. It is, but it is truly a marathon, not a sprint situation, and it can be, and everyone's finances are what they are, and by no means am I saying definitely do this or do whatever. But again, there's no rules. But just critically thinking about staying in a hotel, staying in somewhere that's not on a floor, right? Even if you're staying with friends, is that stay a place where people are going to be able to rest well, right? That can be really, really, really important. Vitamins, it's stupid, right? But we do vitamins every single day. Everybody's taking vitamins, everybody's sleeping really well. We're up on tea, we're staying hydrated, and we are eating. Eating is very, very important, especially when you're driving for 12 hours. Very easy to not eat and not eat well, right? So I am always the bad guy saying, guys, we need to eat. It's been 8 hours, we have to eat something, right?
Whether it's 10 people, whether it's 100 people, whether it's 1,000 people, you want to put on the best show you can. And I think that if you're in any sort of grumpy Gus attitude or haven't eaten or whatever, it is only serving you to get a good night's sleep, or the best night's sleep you can, I should say. It is at utmost importance to serve the show the best you can.
Crash my car just to cause a scene. I'm gonna flip my spliff like I'm Steve McQueen. Soak my shoes in gasoline. I got these motel moves from a magazine.
You guys have any questions? We're gonna open it up. Early on in touring, what were some unexpected things that would happen that you wish you would have known prior to?
One of the things that I think we learned early on, which has been helpful throughout, is merch has been a big, every person, artist, band that's traveling, having any sort of merchandise, even if it's stickers, is so helpful, because if you play good on stage and someone wants to interact with you, even being able to hand them a sticker that has your artist or band name on it is, then they follow you, then they do whatever. But then the like sneaky small thing that we've talked about is if you're playing in front of a bunch of new people that have never heard of you, and you come off stage and you just rocked it and killed it, standing next to your merch, when it sounds so dumb to say, but it is like, one of the things that in our routine that we do when we are getting off stage is we're loading out. I'm the one that goes and stands next to the merch table, and when people go and say, hey, you did so awesome up there, I'm able to say, oh, thank you. Here's a sticker. Do you want a t-shirt? Do you want a poster? How many square feet in the venue? The best place you can be standing is right next to all the stuff that says your band or artist name on it.
And it can be hard. I mean, we were talking about this last night, like merch debt, right, is a real thing, right? Making sure that you are not over getting merch. But I think it is really, really important because, like you said, that's where the money happens, especially when you're starting out with tours. You're not going to be getting any guarantees, or they'll be very few and far between. Even after you start touring a lot, they'll be few and far between. Yeah, the merch is critical on what makes a tour at least a financial success.
Someone wants your autograph, here's a poster that you can buy, and it costs so little to make, and you can have a bunch of them all the time. On top of the showing up on time and developing your routine of loading in and loading out and all that stuff, I think the other thing we think about too is the fan acquisition of traveling and playing music. You're playing in front of a new crowd, hopefully every time you play, that people have never seen you before. And in the same way that we think about how we can be more efficient into loading in and making sure our stuff doesn't get stolen, we're putting the same care into our live show of, hey, last time we played, this did really well. Like, our singer said this thing and people got a reaction. We put all our hands up in the air this time. The next show, hey, what if we did that every time? Or what if we swap this around? I think that in the same way Jesse was saying that there's no hard feelings, nothing's off limits as far as we're all just trying to better everything, and everything is an evolving cycle of how do we be better, how do we get to the next level. I think that the live show is really important in that as well, of not just on stage but off stage. We were talking about earlier, making sure you're talking to everyone at the show. People are there to see you. Even if they weren't there to see you, they liked your set. Talk to them, they'll come to the next show. They'll come to the show after that. They'll invite more people to the next show. I think that that's really important because it's not just about performing good on stage. Obviously, you want to perform great, you want to play our songs well, but that interaction is what's going to make a lifelong fan.
Ooh, so figuring out the set list and rehearsal time.
Oh man, we are rigid with our rehearsal. We think about it probably too much, and for us, we're, every moment is accounted for during our set. Where we're, and this is again just for us. There are no rules. People can go up there and do whatever they want. But for our band specifically, we're thinking about what's the best intro, what's the best song to start with, what's the best song to close with. An example would be on this past tour we were on. We were in the middle of tour and noticed that a song that we had just put out was, people were singing along to it more than we expected because the song had just come out. So on a day off, we had to all sit down and rearrange everything. We carry a laptop that handles a lot of our click tracks and backing tracks and stuff like that, and we had to rearrange everything. But I think that we, as much care as we put into being on time, we put that care into putting on a good show. And as far as the rehearsal time, we expect everyone to show up to rehearsal knowing the parts. And then it's about the nuances and the details when we show up to rehearsal, meaning that I should show up knowing all of my bass parts to every song, and I should know a rough order of how they go, but it's the details and the how do we make this moment bigger or extend this little part that I think is where our rehearsals come into play.
And I just want to piggyback off of just the rehearsal stuff, just how important that is, because a show can get lost at a moment of just the transition from one song to the next song. And if you're just I know in hip hop, you look back at the DJ and you're just all right, so what song we got going on next? You could really miss somebody right there. And so practicing and rehearsing so you know what songs that you have next, the next transition that you have going into the next song, or you're oh, this part right here is where I'm gonna talk to the crowd or something like that. That's why rehearsal is so important, because you can get in sync with everybody that's in the band, if it's you and a DJ, and even just with yourself. So like, you're not just up there like, this song, like, practice those talking points too. Practice every single thing from the beginning to the end of the show. If there's an encore, you already know what you've practiced it numerous times. So rehearsal is very, very key and important. So the routine of posting on socials during the tour, before, after, or during.
So important, and something we are actively in the middle of iterative improvement on right now. I'll give it to you to talk about it.
Yeah, so again, in the same way that we talk about how do we improve, we're always talking about how to improve socials. And I think when it comes to the before a tour, obviously there's the announcement day. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I think that just posting the flyer of a show, let's say you just have one show in Chicago, posting that single flyer is not enough. As much as we want it to believe it's enough to post it once, everyone that follows you from Chicago is going to be there. It's not going to happen. If we get a little more tactical, Instagram hates text, and flyers are mostly text. If you're posting a story or something like that, I think like having that in the back of your head of, should I make a video? Should I just like post a live picture of us and put the date or whatever details they can get? Not trying to overdo the details is something that I think we think about a lot when we're posting something. Chicago, October 13th, this venue. If they want to know the time it starts, they'll figure it out. If someone's interested in the show, they'll figure it out. And that goes back to knowing that Instagram hates text and whatever. When it comes to at the show, we're at a point where I hand my phone to Jesse, our tour manager, during every show, and he just films little moments during the show. If you don't have someone that's traveling with you, set up your phone on a tripod and just film it, and you can pull little clips out of that. And then beyond that, it's not just about thanking Chicago after you've played. It's about, there's 30 minutes to an hour of a set that you can just pull little clips out of and post at any point to promote anything, because it's your live show. People want to see you playing live. People want to see a little clip. Even a screen cap of you jumping in the air is a cool thing to screen grab, edit it with one of the photo apps on your phone, and then all of a sudden that's a moment that you can post 3, 6, a year, months from now to promote the next thing.
Thank you guys.
I want to say thank you everyone for showing up. We specifically want to give a big thank you to the Columbus Music Commission. I know we're going to be hanging out. If anyone has any other questions, not in a big microphone forum, we're going to be hanging out. We can talk, whatever. Big thank you to Amy, to Olivia. Bruce Garfield couldn't be here, but he puts all this on. He's a big reason that like people are paying attention to Columbus, not just Columbus music cultivating, but other eyes around the country are on Columbus because of Bruce. So we're gonna give a big shout out to Bruce Garfield, who couldn't be here, but he's awesome. Again, thank you all for having us. We're gonna be hanging out. Any other questions? We're down to chat. So.